Hello there, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Smashing Crossbar Podcast. A little bit different tonight, isn't it? I'm doing the introductions, and there is no Josh Head to be seen. Josh is unfortunately out tonight due to an emergency, and he's passed the torch over to me to start the hosting duties for this one. Before we do get into introducing our guests for tonight, we just want to acknowledge that before we start today's podcast, we want to recognise that Thursday, the 10th of September, today is Are You OK Day. For all those that don't know, Are You OK? Its vision is a world where we're all connected and are protected from suicide, with the mission to inspire and empower everyone to meaningfully connect with people around them and support anyone struggling in life. We've all done it before. We've all asked a friend or someone else in our life if they are okay, only to receive the response, no, I'm not. And are stuck on what to say next or how we can help further. Knowing what to say next is the key. A conversation could change a life. So don't put yourself in that position. Know what to say next. Go and check out all the information on areyouok.org.au for all the information. All right, with that out of the way, guys, we shall now introduce our guests, and we have a whole plethora of them today. So first of all, I would like to introduce to you guys, we have Jay and Leb from the All Out West podcast. How we doing, lads?
Hey, girls. How are we?
We are good. And how goes the lockdown for you lads?
Well, not much has changed since the last time I think we were on this podcast. Still in lockdown, still not enjoying it, still no live football, but Premier League coming up this weekend, so we'll make do.
At least we'll have something to watch. And today, we will also be introducing a very special guest on the podcast. We have Western United player himself, Stephen Lustiger. How are you, mate?
Hey, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Not a problem, mate. We welcome you to the Smashing Crossbar podcast.
Yeah, thanks. Very happy to be on and looking forward to having a good chat.
Alrighty, lads. So, Jay, Leb, would you like to start off with our very first question of the night?
I've had a burning question for Steve ever since, you said we could jump in on this podcast. And it looks like, from social media, Diamante's the biggest joker in the Western United dressing room. I just want to know, is that all a show? Is he really the biggest joker, or is there really someone that's pulling all the strings back there?
Yeah, 100% have to be Diamante. He's definitely the joker of the team. He's great value ever since he came to the club. He's been a good laugh, especially now in the 2-month lockdown that we were, in the hub that we were together in Melbourne, in Sydney. Sorry, it really came out. All these jokes, all these pranks, and we had a really good laugh with him.
I mean, at the end of the day, how could you not? Like I mentioned prior to going live tonight, guys, I might not be a Western United supporter, but even I follow Diamante on Instagram because some of the stuff that he comes up with is amazing to watch.
Oh, he's an amazing character.
He's absolutely brilliant. But anyway, off that topic, we'll get into a couple of other little things. So, born in Canberra in 1991, we have here Mr. Stephen Lustiger. Has jumped around with a youth career at Canberra, the ACTAS, Sydney FC Youth, and finally across to Gold Coast United, where you started your senior career. Moving across very quickly, you ended up going up to over to Croatia to Hajduk Split. A couple of loan spells to and from, back to Brisbane, and then being signed by Adelaide. But in my brutal opinion, the best part from what I've seen from you so far has got to be your reign at Brisbane Roar, completely unknockable out of that first team over the time that you were there. Jumping across to Western Sydney, and then we end up moving back to Croatia with Inter. A very quick stopover in Uzbekistan before you joined up with Western United. Any key highlights in there, mate, that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, obviously, I've, bit more experience now. I've been around a bit now. Obviously, had the great experience in Croatia. That was definitely a highlight for me, going to play for Hajduk Split at a very young age. That was, it's a club that I have a lot of passion for. I'm Croatian background. It's a club that I've always supported. Definitely would be one of the biggest clubs in Croatia. So going over there, as a 19, 20-year-old, was, a really big deal for me. Played in some really big games there. They have some of the best fans in the world. at that club. So I actually made my debut against Barcelona with them, which was, really, really, a dream for me. And then played in a few big derby games as well. So that was obviously, to start my career there was, to kick it off there. Obviously, I had a bit of few games with Gold Coast United, but that was more with the youth team there. And then to get that experience overseas in Croatia was, a real boost for me. So that was definitely a highlight. Obviously, winning the championship with Brisbane Roar was another highlight. And yeah, it continued now with Western United. We had a great first year, just missing out on the finals, and hopefully now we can build on that next season.
Absolutely. I think mentioning to the boys when we had them on the podcast the other week is that me and Josh were both very much in the camp of if Western United can make the six, we felt as Jet supporters that would be a very successful season. But you just absolutely smashed it and went further on. I personally was rooting for you guys all the way. I wanted just to get to the big game.
Yeah, and look, obviously, our aim was obviously to get into the finals. We had to win a lot of games there. I think we had the most games out of anyone post-COVID in that hub. So we had 6 games. Other clubs had 3 or 4 games. So we had to really back up, and pretty much every game was, a must-win for us. And, we got into the finals. Which was great, but then once we got there, we smelt it and felt like we can do some damage in the finals, and we won our first game against Brisbane, got into the semi-finals, and we had a really good game against Melbourne City in the semi-finals, but unluckily, we fell a little bit short and just missed out on the final. But overall, the club can be very proud. The boys can be very proud of what we achieved in the first year.
100%. Jay, Leb, any more?
So that probably moves perfectly into the question I was going to ask. I was just going to ask you what actually enticed you about coming to Western United, and how you first integrated with the squad. Obviously, because you came in mid-season, and the players obviously had a bit more time to work together. So, how ddid your decision come along, and how was it for you in those early stages?
Yeah, look, I finished my season in Uzbekistan, so I came back to Melbourne. My fiance is from Melbourne, so I was, having a bit of a break in Melbourne on holidays a little bit, and yeah, the opportunity came up. I spoke to the coach, Mark Rodan, and after speaking to him, he told me what his plans were, what he expected from me, and I accepted. I really believed in what he was creating at Western United, and I wanted to be part of that. And then ever since I got there, you could see straight away, the foundations were set straight away. There was a winning mentality there, a lot of positive energy for such a new club. They were ambitious as well for a new club as well. So it all seemed to come together, and I fit in quite well pretty quickly, and really enjoyed my time there in the first season. Even though I did come, in February, I only played about 3 games, and then we had the big COVID break. So overall, very satisfied and looking forward to building on that next season.
And there we go. Ladies and gentlemen, we've just popped up in the chat one of the Newcastle Jets faithful, Luke Sports Gaming, has come in. Breaking news, Diamante has won the Johnny Warren medal.
Fantastic.
Yep, we just saw that as well. We've got big grins on our face right now.
Yeah,
That's right. You can have it. You can have it. We'll gladly take goal of the season. To be honest, Jet scoring goals is something of a rarity over the past couple of seasons. So if we had one banger that goes in for goal of the season, we'll take that.
Yeah, and look, it was a worthy winner as well. So we have no complaints here.
No complaints. Beautiful. Yeah. Luke also comes in with a question for you, Steve. And that is that what is it like to play in Uzbekistan?
Yeah, look, it was a different experience for me, having played in Europe and in Australia. That was the first time for me to go play in Asia, and it was actually a good experience, a great experience. The league's pretty tough there, to be honest. Good quality players. They have some good foreigners there. But from a cultural perspective, it was very different. A lot different to what I was used to. Living in Croatia on the Adriatic coast. Living in Brisbane, in Sydney, Bondi Beach. It's a lot different going to Uzbekistan. You could imagine. So it was a bit of a culture shock for me, but it was a good challenge for me as well, and I enjoyed my time there. Our club was battling relegation when I got there, and we managed to stay up, which was the goal. So yeah, we achieved that, and yeah, look, it was a great experience for me. I spoke to a few other boys. Previous Aussies played there before I went over, so I spoke to a few of them, and they gave me a bit of an insight on what I could expect there. And overall, I didn't know what I was sort of going into, but in the end, I was, I look back on it as a great experience, a great learning experience for me, and had some good memories there in my short time there.
And now, like the rest of us on this podcast, you've migrated across into the western suburbs of Melbourne. I bet you that was an experience too.
Yeah, no, look, Melbourne's one great place to live. So I've got like I said, my fiance's from Melbourne, so it's sort of it worked out well for me. I'm a Canberra boy, but I left Canberra pretty young to chase my footballing dreams, just because there wasn't really no A League club in Canberra, no real opportunities when you get to a certain age. So I've been out of Canberra for a while now, but I'm very, very happy and settled in Melbourne now.
Very good. And I suppose that's something we could chat about later on in tonight's podcast. Maybe we can all discuss the viability of an A League team in Canberra.
Yeah, most definitely. I think it's time that Canberra do get a team. I mean, they've been talking about it for a while, and there's so many players that have come out of Canberra. Former Socceroos, some great players, and it's a shame that there is no pathway for these players when they get to that 16, 17 years of age. They have to look elsewhere, and I think Canberra definitely has to be next in line to get that team. They've got all the foundations here. They've got the stadium, they've got the facilities, they've got the players. They've got a women's team, they've got a youth team, so it's just about time that they get a senior team as well. And I think it's hopefully in the coming seasons they'll get that.
Yeah, and I think that's very much the main sticky point for me as to why Canberra should have its own A League team. I mean, they only have to realistically do half the work. They've already got a good youth setup there. They've already got a women's team there, a strong and competitive women's team, I might add as well. Why not just finish off the other half?
Yeah, well, 100%. The foundations are there, so like you said, most of it's set up. It's just about obviously getting I think they've got the backing as well now. They've got the investors on board, so it's just about now FFA accepting their bid, I guess. I think I heard they narrowly just missed out on the last time when Western United and MacArthur were accepted, so Canberra were right in the mix then. So it was unfortunate they didn't get in, but hopefully, next time round, they'll get the team.
Yep, 100%. Jay, Leb, what are your thoughts on a Canberra A League team?
Well, like you said, there's already a strong women's team there. They've got the stadium there. They've got the Canberra Raiders. I think the GWS Giants are playing a lot of games out in Canberra as well. So we've got every other code in Canberra. Why not have a proper footballing team out there? I think it's quite important to the game to have one in the country's capital as well. So I'm all for it. I'm all for growing the game, and I think it's probably the best place to start, really.
100%. Okay, so we've got Hayden Ellis here in the YouTube side of chat, and he's like, Steve Lustica, how is it shushing the Cove? It shows good passion and really backing the team.
Hayden, the boy's a legend.
Yeah, look, to be honest, it was a bit of rush of blood, a bit of sort of last minute goal. They're giving me a bit of stick every corner we had there behind them. They were sort of giving me a bit of stick. I'm a former Wanderer player as well, so maybe they remember that. I'm not sure, but yeah, look, it was sort of one of those things that instinct, I guess. Rush of blood, excited to score, and they were right there. So why not? Why not give it to them a little bit? It's all good banter in the end of the day. So yeah.
Benny
Yeah,
Jorgensen has always come in. Benny Jorgensen is in. He's gone, what a night it was in Sydney.
Benny Jorgs was our one fan from the Western Service crew that was able to travel. So he was the lucky one that was at the Sydney game.
Okay, yeah. Well, that was one of our only games that we had fans. So yeah, it was actually good having fans there for that game, because the previous games and the ones after that, there were some games we didn't have any fans, and then in the finals we had maybe 1,000 or so. But that game, I think there was 3,000 or 4,000. It was a good atmosphere there because it was nice and close at Leichhardt there. So yeah, it was good to have fans, especially in that period there was no fans at any of the games. So to have a bit of an atmosphere was good.
Seems like Western United as a club sort of they're a lot higher up there in their fan respect than many other clubs. I would say is that the Western United players tend to thrive off a good and strong and a loud supporter base.
Yeah, look, it's never easy, especially starting up a new club. It's not easy to attract fans, and credit to Western United that they managed to do that. When you look at the home games that we had, especially in Geelong, Ballarat, we were able to attract fans, and we've built a good fan base now. And definitely we're only going to build on that in the coming seasons, especially now, hopefully with the stadium that's going to get built in the coming years. To see a packed out Western United Stadium will be something that we can't wait for.
Jay, Leb, thoughts?
Yeah, Stevie's hit the nail on the head right there. Obviously, being a new team, it's hard to get that core supporter base, but I think within the first season, we've done fantastically and been able to bring some great noise and some great atmosphere to the games. And the club's been you can tell that the club's been very grateful towards that as well, and they've been very responsive towards us for our work, and we're very appreciative of everything that the people behind the scenes at the club have done too. So I think that's only going to continue to grow, and especially with a home base in the future, it's looking very promising, and it's looking like we could become one of the loudest teams in the league.
Beautiful. Well, I've just done a bit of very, 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 very quick Googling, and which has brought me to the Western United page, and that you guys have got members in every single state in Australia and across 7 other countries, including New Zealand, Italy, USA, Hong Kong, Singapore, Norway, and Morocco.
Oh, didn't know about a few of those.
All places. Of all places, and you guys ended up finishing up with a membership total of 5,720, which for your first season is absolutely amazing, considering the Jets every year, I think we pull in at about anywhere around 10,000 a year, roughly, in memberships. So for you guys to hit basically half that in one season is an astronomical achievement.
Yeah, and I think making finals is only going to help that number rise as well. And it obviously doesn't help with COVID and not being able to go to the games, because I reckon attendance would have been 10,000 plus at some of those if we'd made, say, a home final, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Well, us playing Melbourne City in the semi-final, I'd say that would have been sold out at Amy Park.
Oh yeah, that would have been packed.
Oh yeah. Well, Amy Park's what, 13 and a half, I think?
30. Yeah, 30 and
yeah,
a half.
30, sorry. What else have we got here? Benny, we've already answered that one, champion. He's coming 5 minutes late. I was reiterating. Yes, he's reiterating. That's all right. Speaking about the fans, did having no fans in the stadium change the way the team plays?
It's a good question. To be honest, it is a weird feeling. But when I look back at the games, I think it was still the same intensity. We had the same mindset going to the game. So, I don't think it changed the way we played. It was a strange feeling. But once the game started, I think it's football at the end of the day, and we all went out there to win and play our own game. So definitely, you want to be playing in front of crowds. But in this situation, we obviously didn't have it. But looking back at it, it definitely didn't change the way we played. But the whole landscape obviously changed a little bit in terms of there was no atmosphere. Maybe the game would have gone different ways, especially when you have crowd getting behind you or behind a certain team. It can change or have an effect on the game. So, in hindsight, maybe the games would have gone in a different direction if there were crowds behind the teams. We're not going to know that, but looking back, it was a different experience. A bit of a weird feeling, I guess. Playing in front of no fans, you can pretty much hear everyone. You could hear the coach on the sidelines. You could hear all the players. So usually when you're playing in front of a crowd, you can't hear anything. So had its positives, but obviously also a lot of negatives as well. But overall, look, it was a great experience, and we're just happy to be playing football and finishing off the season.
Yeah, 100%. I think the one thing that I noticed coming out of the COVID break and coming back into, well, what we could call the rest of the season, is that it seemed like some teams, especially Sydney, to quote off the top of my head, they sort of, like, the fans really, not having the fans there really, really affected them. It was almost like the first 10 minutes of the game was quite cagey. Both sides didn't know how to come at each other, sort of thing, but there's almost like sort of that mindset of you don't hear the fans, so the brain starts to think that it may be sort of like a training match or whatever with the bibs on and sort of thing until something happens and it's like, oh, shit, okay, yeah, this is a game. We are playing for points again.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Like I said, looking back at it, at times it did feel like, especially when you're walking out, for the strangers was probably walking out, and you walk out in your separate tunnels, no fans there. So it did feel like a bit of a trial game. But look, once the game kicked off, our minds were just focused on the game and not really focusing on anything else. But definitely into the lead up into the game, the warm up, walking out prior to the game was, felt like a bit of a trial game. But yeah, look, once the game started, we only had one mind on their jobs, and that was to play and to win.
Alrighty, 100%. I'll move into my next question, which is Luke, Sports Gaming, mate. Settle down. You can't take all my questions that I've written down, mate. We've got here in the chat from Luke and myself as well was my next question, and that is, how is Mark Rodan as a coach?
Yeah, look, very, very, very good, to be honest. Obviously, I came in mid-season, so looking back on it now, he did a fantastic job getting a team from scratch basically, and assembling a team and seeing how far we went. He's got very, very demanding. He's got his system that we all know what he wants from us. But also he's very, very positive, very, very positive as a coach. Gives us good feedback. And yeah, he's got that winning mentality that we all shared in the end, and we're all on the same wavelength. Obviously, he had a great season at Wellington, set the foundations there, and that's why also they had great success now this season as well, because he left them in good shape as well. But look, it's never easy starting a team from scratch, and Mark obviously did that, and at the end of the day, we were only one game away from the final. So yeah, look, like I said, we're looking forward to building on next season and seeing how we can improve.
Jay, Lab, thoughts?
I had a very similar question along the lines of not just Mark Rodan, but obviously with the whole club going into lockdown and going into the hub. How was Mark Rodan in sort of keeping all the boys gelling together? Obviously a lot of you are away from your family and friends, and that's probably not easy. Maybe for the younger lads it's a bit easier, but for the older fellas maybe not so much because they have families. How did not just Mark but the club act to sort of keep morale up?
Yeah, look, they were great. They were great towards us. Anything we needed, they were there for us. They were in constant communication with us. Mark was always there. Anything we needed, he was just a door knock away. He was there always. Like I said, very, very positive with us. Even if there were some days that the boys were flat or feeling a bit down, or which does happen when you are away from your family, and we're pretty much 24/7 with each other for 2 months, and that's not easy. People probably forget that. Usually when we're back at home, we train for an hour or 2 hours a day, and then you go back home for the rest of the day with your family. Whereas this, we finish training and then we go back to the hotel and we're still together. We have breakfast, lunch, dinner together. So it can become a bit tiring. You do get a bit frustrated sometimes, and Mark and the club were great with that. They knew when to give us space, or when they had a lot of activities as well that we did. We had like table tennis tournaments, trivia nights, so they made it fun for us, made it interesting. And to be honest, the time went pretty quick. It wasn't one of those things that felt like time went forever, but it did go past pretty quickly. And that was credit to our coach and the club as well, for being very accommodating, and everything was there for us in the hotel. We just had to really just turn up and train and eat and sleep and recover, and everything was there for us. So it made it a lot easier for us.
Beautiful. We've got CNA is cool here with a question, and that is, how far do you see Maxi Burgess going in football?
Yeah, Maxi had a fantastic season. He's got a great future ahead of him. You can see he really came alive towards the end of the season. Scored a lot of goals for us, and was one of our key players. And if he keeps performing like that and keeps improving, I think he's got a great future. He can. They're talking about Socceroos now, and who knows, even heading over to Europe or overseas. But as long as he keeps on doing what he's been doing up until now, keeps on training hard, I'm sure Maxi will keep on improving, and he'll reap the rewards.
Beautiful. All right, I just want to have a very quick chat about your national team duties there. So between the years of 2009 2011, you were part of the Australian under-20s lineup. What was it like to? What was the feeling like to represent your country on the global stage at that level?
Yeah, obviously that was a great experience for me at that age. Went to a lot of various different tournaments. We had the Asian Championships. We qualified for the Under-20 World Cup. We had a lot of tours overseas to Europe, to South America. So being a part of those tournaments, those camps, was obviously very beneficial to my development as a player, because you're exposed to much higher levels when you're playing international football. So yeah, looking back, that was a very important time in my development as a young player, and definitely shaped me as for the player that I am today. Looking back, we qualified for the Under-20 World Cup in Colombia. I think that was in 2011. Unfortunately for me, I was selected in that squad, but I just signed for Hajduk Split at that time, and my club wouldn't actually allow me to go. I think it was me and Matt Leckie were the two players that our clubs wouldn't release to go. So I didn't end up going to the World Cup, but that allowed me to sort of make my debut against Barcelona, playing some big games for Hajduk Split, and sort of cement my spot in the team there. But looking back out of it, definitely had a lot of good memories with the young Socceroos.
Yep, magic. Lads.
I've got another question.
Sure.
So you mentioned before that obviously you went to Split and you were a Split fan when you were growing up too. Are there any other clubs you follow closely and have any sort of connection to and support?
To be honest, when I was growing up, I followed the NSL a lot, the old National Soccer League. I obviously from Canberra. I supported Sydney United. That was my team. Obviously with Croatian background, Sydney United. They were the closest to Canberra, so I used to travel up with my dad from Canberra and watch Sydney United pretty much every home game they had. So I was a big, I followed the old NSL back then. When I was growing up, I was a big Sydney United fan, and actually Mark Rodan was one of the players that used to play back then when I used to go up and watch him. He was one of the players, and they had a lot of good players back then. Like I said, I was a big Hajduk Split supporter, but obviously, to be honest, I never had, an EPL team or a La Liga team that I had really followed. I followed more players more than clubs. I always watched the big games, always watched the big teams, but never had an EPL team that I really supported. I always sort of follow the players that I sort of liked. I'd watch them more and their clubs more. So yeah.
Off the back of that, who are some of those players that you tend to follow around?
I liked Iniesta. He was one of my favourites. Iniesta, Xavi, Fabregas when he was at Arsenal. Obviously, the Messis. Luka Modric as well. He was a big one of my favourite players growing up as well. So, I tended to always watch the midfielders more as I was a midfielder. So, you seem to follow them and watch their games a little bit more than other players, I guess.
Beautiful. Well, we've got one here from Ash the Train. What youth club did you play for, and what was your path to being a professional?
My youth club was called Canberra Deacon. So I pretty much started there when I was six years old, I think, all the way to about 13, under 13s. Then from there, I went to the ACT state teams for a few years there. I think it was ACT Academy of Sport, and then from there I went. There was obviously no national youth league team in Canberra, so I went to Sydney FC, and then from Sydney FC I went to Gold Coast United. So that was my pathway from Canberra. Obviously, when you get to that 16 years of age, you got to look elsewhere in Canberra. So Sydney was my closest, and then I was involved with the various national teams, and then from there I went to Gold Coast United.
Absolute magic, lads. Anything else to add?
Funny you say that you followed midfielders specifically, and obviously you being a midfielder, it makes sense. But were there any other players in other positions that you really looked up to and kind of followed as well?
Obviously, Messi. Messi was one that I obviously followed when he was really young, when he was about 17, 18. I remember watching him and, watching him sort of go up the ranks. Obviously, he's what stands out but yeah, like I said, I sort of tended to follow the midfielders more than the defenders or the strikers, I guess. So, yeah, to answer your question, yeah, definitely, Luka Modric was one of my favorite players growing up. I remember I went to the 2006 World Cup. I went with my dad. We went to the 2006 World Cup in Germany, and we watched Australia against Croatia. We watched a few other games as well, and I remember we went to watch the Croatian national team train a few times, and I remember Luka Modric. He would have been about 19 or 20 years of age, and he was a young kid, young player back then, and he wasn't, he was in the second team. He wasn't really. I think he came on a few games, and I remember watching him at training. I go, wow, that guy's so good. He's going to be a top player, and you look, a few years later, he goes on to Tottenham and then Real Madrid. So I remember from that point on, that's when I really started watch following his progress and watching his games.
100%. I'd take that 150%. He's always been a player that I've tended to enjoy watching while he's on screen. 100%.
Just as well, you've said you follow a lot of players. You've also played a lot of time in Europe. Does that sort of style, like the players you follow and the game you play overseas, does that also translate to the way you play back in Australia? Like, how has that influenced the way you've evolved as a footballer?
Yeah, look, I'd hope it has. Definitely, gaining experience. Playing against those clubs overseas, played against Barcelona. I remember having to mark Iniesta. Messi didn't play in that game, but Iniesta did. I remember coming on and having to mark Iniesta for 40 minutes. And as a 20-year-old and someone that always watched on TV and admired so much. Definitely you pick up things, and we've played in some big games. We played against Inter Milan at the San Siro in Italy, Europa League qualifier. And even back here in the A League, there was a few big games we played as well. We played against Liverpool at Suncorp, against when I was at Brisbane Roar, sold out Suncorp Stadium. Arsenal came as well, sold out here in Sydney, 83,000. So they were all experiences I took, and definitely, when I look back on, can be very proud that I was, privileged to play in games and against such great opponents.
100%. Well, we'll take a question here now from the chat, and we'll take this one from Hayden, and that's, what's your highlight of the season at Western United?
Yeah, definitely making the finals and winning that first playoff game against Raw, and then getting to the semi-finals. Definitely, the team was so together in that time as well, making the finals after every game. The way we celebrate, just winning a game with Western United, it's great. We have our team song after every game, and after every game we win, it feels like we won a final, and it's just great, that passion that the players have, that the club has, that the coaches have. Everyone's together, and to be honest, I haven't really experienced that at the other A League clubs that I've been at. That real togetherness, that real passion to win, and really enjoy those moments when we do win. Doesn't matter if it's just a normal league game or what it is. We celebrate every game and every victory together, and being part of those moments is something that was very special, and especially in this time as well, this hard time in the hub as well. It made everyone even closer together, and able to make the finals and get so far was something that we'll remember, and obviously that will spur us on for next season to go that one step further.
Magic, 100%. Alrighty, I'll bring up my next question. And that is, you scored a couple of banging goals in your career and quite a few to add to the tally. What's it like to score against an English Premier League giant?
Yeah, look, that was obviously a great feeling to score against Arsenal. Yeah, scoring any game is a good feeling, but let alone a game with 85,000 fans there and a team like Arsenal. Obviously, it was a great feeling. Albeit it was a friendly game, but it was a great occasion, and yeah, yeah, it was
So
definitely.
what
definitely,
sort of
definitely a
runs through your
highlight.
head when you've got the ball at your feet, you look up. What sort of runs through your head at that point when you know you're trying to put the ball in
Yeah,
the back of the net against a team like that?
it's hard to explain. The goal against Arsenal was an indirect free kick, so it was a weird one. I took the indirect free kick. I think it got blocked, or the keeper blocked it, or got blocked from a player, and then it came back to me, and I sort of hit it first time, and it went in the roof of the net. So yeah, you don't think in those moments. It's all reaction and instinct, and yeah, obviously, always happy to get on the score sheet, especially against a team like Arsenal.
Beautiful.
Um,
We'll move to. You guys got a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a quick question on the topic of scoring goals. You scored a pretty late one against Sydney. Is that the latest one you've scored to win a
Yeah,
game? Or
yeah, it would be the latest one I've scored for sure. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, we were all going off at home in the Zoom chat, and we were all 30. I think we were 30 seconds ahead, myself and
Okay.
Caleb. So we were celebrating. We were off and running down the street, and and I think everyone else was a bit behind us, but probably pretty lucky that we probably weren't at that game because we might have accidentally broken COVID protocols and jumped the fence. So
Yeah, no, look, that was a great night, and especially we had a lot of young players playing that game as well, and to see them come in like that and really perform well, and it's a great sign for the future. We've got a lot of great young players coming through the club, and definitely the club's in good hands with the youngsters coming through.
And we'll move on to the next one, and that is Matty Eldridge comes in with a very interesting question, and that is, who is the most annoying player you've played with and against?
Annoying. Now you put me on the spot. To be honest, Diamante now in the hub. It was funny because I brought a coffee machine with me to the hub, so I had a coffee machine in my room, and Diamante likes his coffee, and he was messaging me, all in the morning early when I was still sleeping, because I'd make the coffee, but he always wanted to come to me for a coffee because he liked the coffee that I made. So he was messaging me when I was still asleep, and he was knocking on my door to making him a coffee. So it came a bit annoying sometimes, to be honest. Always asking for a coffee. But yeah, I'd have to say Diamante was a bit annoying, to be honest, with his coffee demands.
I was about to say, just give him a mask and a key.
Yeah.
Off you go, mate. Go make it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
And the most annoying player you've played against?
I'm trying to think now. Not too sure, to be honest. Against there's a lot of players now that no one really comes to mind, to be honest. No one really sticks out to be. Maybe someone like a Berisha would be annoying, but luckily for me, I've always had him on my side. So, yeah, I can't really think of anyone, to be honest.
Magic. Lads, anything to add?
no, nothing from us.
Nothing from you guys now. All right, I'll move on to my next question. That is, how hard is it getting out of Victoria and getting into New South Wales for the hub?
Yeah, that was crazy time.
There was a lot going on in the media about it.
Yeah, I think we tried 2 or 3 times, and we got on the plane, got on the tarmac, and then we got told to go home. So that was crazy, to be honest. A really crazy time. Very frustrating time as well. There's a time there that there was a few players that were in certain hotspots in Melbourne, and there were players that were in hotspots. So I was in one of the hotspots, and all the players that were in hotspots, the club got them all out of the hotspots and put them in hotels. So, for a week or two, we were living in a hotel, about 5, 6, or maybe 10 of us, and still training in Melbourne, but we weren't allowed to be in the hotspot. So we had to sort of pack up our bags and pretty much go and live in a hotel. And then we got separated as well when we went to Melbourne the first time. The players that were previously living in hotspots, they got put on a bus, and then the other players that were in hotspots, they were on another bus and they went to the airport. And us players that were living in hotspots, we didn't know what was happening. We weren't allowed to travel. So I think we were gonna maybe drive up and try to get past the border that way. It was just a complete mess, to be honest, and no one knew what was happening. So yeah, it was a crazy time, but luckily, I think it was third time lucky we got across.
Yeah, that seems a bit rough, especially when you've got people like the Victoria. I don't want to really bring politics into it, but the Victorian government saying, "Do it yourself," sort of thing. and the club's trying to scramble to get players out. I think Victory had. I think it was who was it? Was it Victory or City that had the problem as well? They couldn't get players out.
Yeah, definitely. Because I think City as well had players in hotspots, and it was us 3 clubs together, so we're on the plane together as well. So yeah, it was a big mess, but luckily in the end it got sorted out finally.
100%. All right. Well, anything for you guys to add?
No, not at the moment. Not for that one.
Not from that one. Beautiful. All right. Luke Sports Gaming comes in. What's the best goal that you think you've scored?
That one's for me, is it? Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just trying to think. I remember my first goal for Haydock Split was a good one. Outside the box, just a good shot from outside the box. There's a couple in Brisbane, a few long range shots as well. Yeah, probably couldn't pick one, but yeah, I'll probably say the one for Haydock Split. Especially being the first goal for the club in front of the home fans was a special one.
And that's what you want. Always love a good home goal in front of your fans.
Yeah, 100%. Especially over there, the fans, you can imagine how fanatical they are and crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely a highlight.
100%. All right. We've got one here from A-Dogs, and that is Berisha that much of a practical joker?
A practical, yeah, but look on the field. Bess is 100% serious. Disciplined, professional. He's there for one reason only, and that's to score goals. 2 reasons: to score goals and to win games. But off the field, he's a normal guy, a nice guy, caring, loving guy. Likes to have a joke or two as well outside the field. But look, when it comes to football, he's serious. There's no mucking around with him. He's there to win games and to score goals, and you can see that's why he's been so successful in the A League. That's why he's scored so many goals, because of his determination, his discipline, his winning mentality, and it's good, especially for the younger guys, to see that as well. To see that mentality that he brings to every training session and every game. So yeah, look, off the field, he's a nice guy, joker. But on the field, there's no mucking around.
And that's one thing I've always enjoyed about Bezat Berisha, as much as, he's played on opposition teams and, you love to hate him as an opposition supporter. At the same point as well, you can't fault the bloke for the amount of passion that he plays with. That's one thing I've always given him a testament to, is that his passion when he plays on the pitch is second to none. That, and the other third thing that he's good at is being caught in Nigel Bogart's pocket. Every single time.
Yeah, Nigel's a good defender. Very, very. I played with him in Adelaide. He's a top bloke, and he's a very hard defender as well. So it's never an easy battle. Doesn't matter which play comes up against him. He's always going to have a tough time against Nigel.
Dead set. He's a dead set legend. Benny Jorgensen goes, I was about to run down from the hill and join you all. Spoke to Brendan White once, who said Berisha was crazy in training at Brisbane. Has the old man mellowed in his old age? That one's from Ash the Train.
Nah, look, I think he's even become maybe even more intense now since he's gotten older, to be honest. I don't think because I was with him as well in Brisbane. And he hasn't mellowed at all, to be honest. If anything, he's got more hungry and more determined to win and score goals.
And that's what you want. Heading towards the, your late 20s, early 30s, that's what you want. You still want that hunger and that fight, even though the body might not be what it was the 2 to 3 years prior to that. You want that sort of fire and that passion inside you to fuel you and make you do extraordinary things with your body to put those balls away.
100%, and the young guys can see that as well. So, he sets the example, and the younger guys can see that, that's what it takes to get to that level and to win trophies and to win games and score goals, and that's why he has won so many trophies since he's been here in Australia. So it's great for the younger guys as well to see that mentality that he brings. I don't think there's enough of it here in Australia. And more players like that, I think it's going to be better for the league and the development of the younger players.
100%. We'll move now on to the next question, and that is, if there was something to change about the club, what would it be and why?
That's a hard question, to be honest. It's especially as a new club, there's not much to change. Obviously now they're working towards building the new stadium. So once that's sort of settled, then obviously it was a bit challenging this season because we played at a lot of different venues as our home ground, so we didn't really have one home ground. So moving forward next season, hopefully we can have maybe one home ground that will be ours. So yeah, moving forward, probably I would say that we'll be looking forward to having our own home, not playing in Geelong and Ballarat and different venues. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to having our own home ground, and obviously once a stadium's built, that's going to be very exciting.
Did you get to play in all three venues, you yourself?
No, I only played in Geelong. That was the only venue I played in.
Oh yeah, GMHBA. Been there as a supporter, and when the Victory always get it as their home away from home, for some reason they always manage to pick the Jets to have that game, and it's an absolutely terrible stadium to watch football in.
Yeah, I know it's far away. It's not really a football stadium. So to be honest, when I played there, the ground was quite good. The grass was good, but obviously, it doesn't have that footballing atmosphere that you want, that you get at an Amy Park, let's say.
Yeah.
It's a good stadium, but it's an AFL stadium. That's what
it's not built
designed for. It's great for AFL games, but when you come to other codes, it's not doesn't live up to it.
Is that one of the reasons why you guys moved your supporter group from where it initially was?
Actually,
you were behind the goal, weren't you?
Yeah, we were initially, and the club moved us, and I think it was to engage more other just normal fans that were sitting around the sides to get involved in chants and have the opportunity to walk over to the active and join in. So just to give other people who wouldn't be in the active with us the chance to experience it and see what it's like and get everybody a little bit more connected.
I think that all stemmed from the first Victory game, because we had the active support area right next to pretty much two bays of just regular supporters.
Yep.
And after we beat Victory, we had pretty much the three full bays going absolutely nuts.
It
and the
all
whole
became
thing was
active, so essentially.
And I think they wanted to try and bring more of that sort of vibe to the week in, week out home games.
Yeah, 100%. Have you had any in your time as a footballer, Steve? Have you ever had any chance made for you?
So, any chance made for me?
Yeah.
In terms of what do you mean by that?
The active support base. If they ever made either a funny or a chant, yeah.
Sorry, I misunderstood you. Yeah, in Brisbane, I remember had a chant in Brisbane. I can't remember what it was, but I think it was just like a Lustica, and they sort of got louder and louder. I remember that one.
We'll make something a bit better for you, mate.
I was about to say it was brought up earlier in chat that maybe you guys could rework the Valentino Yule chant.
Yeah.
Lustica.
Yeah, what do you think of that one?
I think it works.
Yeah, that one works well. Yeah, it's a good one.
That's the one we use for Roy O'Donovan.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so before we get on to our next question, we are joined in chat by the man himself. Welcome, Joshy boy.
How are you there, guys?
Welcome. How'd you go, mate? Apologies.
Oh, mate, seriously, what a nightmare that was. Come home to a pool of blood and the dog just sort of sitting there dripping. It wasn't eventful, that's for sure. So, rushed him down to the vet, and he'll stay overnight, obviously, and hopefully he'll get fixed up and hopefully pick him up tomorrow. So, yeah.
Let's say, how's to yourself tonight, mate?
Hey?
How's to yourself?
No. It's been a hectic freaking day, mate. I had to pick the wife up from hospital today, and then from work to hospital to pick her up, then pick Amelia up, and then obviously come home to a pool of blood from the dog, and then back down to the vet. I've only just sat down for the first time today, I think. So, but yeah, no, thanks for manning the fort, mate. Muchly appreciated.
That's all good, mate. I hope I've lived up to the high expectations.
I was going to say how they treated you, Stephen. All right, mate.
Yeah, no, they've been great. Yeah.
Not too easy, mate. Well, I'll sit back. Ben, continue on, mate.
Continue on. Alrighty. Well, we're going to let Stevie Lustiger go in the next, say, 5 to 10 minutes. We'll start wrapping things up. Do you guys over there at All Out West have any more questions you'd like to ask?
Yeah, I've got one. We've talked about big personalities in the dressing room, but I want to know what Stevie's opinion on who's probably the quietest person, the quietest player in the dressing room, the more reserved person.
I'd have to say some of the younger boys, to be honest. Luke Giselle, Cavallo. Yeah, look, some of the younger boys. Obviously, you got a lot of big personalities in the team, like Berisha, like Diamante, Durante. So they're sort of the leaders, let's say, in terms of a lot of talking, a lot of banter, the loud ones, and then you have the younger guys are a bit more quieter. Obviously, that's normal as well. So yeah, man, let's hopefully they're soaking it all in and learning from these guys.
How's Ryan Scott in the dressing room?
Beat me to that question.
Yeah, he's good value, very good value. You would have seen a lot of the post match interviews that he was doing
Yeah, definitely.
with the cameras, and yeah, Ryan Scotty's there. He's great value, to be honest, with the boys. Great laugh, great banter, really good bloke, and a really good guy to have around the dressing room. Even though he's not playing, obviously. He's the second keeper, but he's it's like he's playing every game. He's there supporting the boys, and really good value for the team.
I suppose it's really good, even as a second choice keeper, and even knowing that is sort of your role, that the club have sort of gone, hey, how about you do something, it's good that they're finding ways to get him involved more and sort of establishing that culture.
Scotty's a great keeper as well. He came in one game against Adelaide, and I think we won that game 5-1, and he had a great performance as well. So, Scotty's ready to go. As soon as if he's called upon, he's ready to go, and he'll put in a great shift as well. He's a great keeper and a quality guy as well. So, yeah, great guy to have around.
Both Caleb and I made the away trip for that Adelaide game. And yeah, that was probably one of the best games I've ever seen of football live. So we were absolutely wrapped with that result. Couldn't have gone much better for us there.
Yeah, and that's right. When after that, that's when COVID stopped. So that's when the league stopped. So we were really on a good run of games there as well. But luckily for us, we managed to the biggest question everyone had was can we post COVID can we continue that form, and we answered those questions and put in some great performances as well. So that was really pleasing to see that we could, even though it was a good 3 months break from that game, we're able to continue on with that form that we had.
And off the back of that, I'll ask what your opinion is on this as well. In your time here in Australia in the A League for the various clubs that you've, I dare say that you've played a game in just about every single stadium that the A League has to offer. Which one do you think personally has got the best atmosphere?
Yeah, look, you can't go past Amy Park. When you play against Victory, a full stadium with Victory. Look, even Hindmarsh offers a great atmosphere when they got their fans there, because it's a great little stadium there, nice and close to the field. But yeah, look, Amy Park. Even back when Wanderers were at Old Parramatta Stadium, that was a very hostile atmosphere to go to, and very that was probably one of the best atmospheres as well. I remember I played a semi-final there with Brisbane Roar against the Wanderers, and that atmosphere, that was a packed stadium that night, and the atmosphere that they brought to that stadium was pretty special, to be honest. Unfortunately for them, they weren't able to sort of, when they got moved around a bit, they were at Spotless Stadium, and now even the new stadium they've got now would have to be one of the best stadiums in Australia now for football. But they haven't been able to sort of replicate that atmosphere they had at Parramatta Stadium. So yeah, there are quite a few good atmospheres and stadiums around in the A League, but definitely Victory, the old Parramatta Stadium was quite good as well.
Yeah. I think personally for me, and I think Josh would tend to agree with me on this one, when we did our away day to Adelaide, Coopers, if it's not raining, and the sun's out, I tell you what, when the Red Army get going, they just pull everybody else around them into it, and even you as a supporter in the away bay, that when they start rocking and jumping around, that it's got to be one of the best atmospheres that I've experienced of a game of football here in Australia that hasn't been a Socceroos clash or a or a Matilda's clash.
Well, our boys killed off that atmosphere pretty quickly when we were there. You could hear a pin drop outside of where our supporters were.
Alrighty, what have we got here? You think playing in winter improved the style of play in the league?
Look, to be honest, it's never easy playing in summer. Sometimes, especially when in the hot days in Perth. Sometimes you're playing in 40-degree heat, and definitely that does affect the style of the game or the quality of the game. So yeah, to be honest, even now, when we played the game in the hubs, it was obviously a lot cooler. The temperature at night time, and you do feel like you got your lungs are bigger. You can run longer. You can run faster just because the weather's nice and fresh. So yeah, definitely, in summer when you're going to Perth or Brisbane, it's never pleasant sometimes in those hot conditions. So yeah, look, it could be an option moving forward. Obviously they still haven't confirmed for next season when it's going to start. But yeah, definitely the winter competition, could be a good option for them.
And I suppose playing in and living in Victoria now is probably the prime place to be able to play the football, for the simple fact that Victoria is the only state in the world where you can get all 4 seasons in one day.
Yeah, well, that's right as well. Yeah, you can 100%. You got the sun sometimes, then it rains, then and the sun comes back out again. So yeah, look, we're fortunate as well in Sydney. We're right on Coogee Beach now, so the sun was out every day. We had some really good weather there. So very fortunate that we're in a great spot now in this period.
I could just imagine it, like the sun lounge on the outside of the hotel. You've got Dia there with his coffee, his shades, no shirt on, and a tan.
Yeah,
could just imagine it.
That was pretty much his ritual every day. So yeah.
And then probably Instagramming here and there, setting them up, waiting to go.
Yeah.
What have we got here? Your thoughts on bringing in a second division?
Yeah, look, I've always been for it. Definitely think it'll be a positive move if they can get that happening. I don't know when that's going to be possible, but there's been talk about it for a while now. But definitely moving forward, I think Australia needs that promotion relegation system where teams feel that pressure of being the bottom half of the table, because it's definitely going to improve the quality as well. Because I've been in those situations overseas as well when you're fighting to stay up, and it's a totally different ball game when you know that there's something on the line. You don't want to get relegated, and definitely moving forward, I'd love to see that in Australia. I don't know when that's a possibility, but hopefully FFA can work towards that and make that happen.
Easy done. Lads, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's crucial for the growth of the game in the country that we have a second division at the least. So, but there's still a lot of work to be done to implement that sort of thing and to bring in new sorts of teams and bring in the structure. So I don't think it's right around the corner, but I think it's something that we can look forward to in the, let's say, medium term.
Yeah, I think financially we need to have a good backing so clubs don't go under, because that'll just be a catastrophe if you have clubs getting relegated, like Newcastle Jets, or God forbid Newcastle Jets, or the Mariners, and then the club goes under and they can't come back up. So I think the financial backing would be pretty important for that. But once that's all sorted, I think it's pretty much crucial that we have a second division.
I think for me personally, the big thing about that is, even before you look at the finance side of things, is that the structure to be able to bring that in needs to be rock solid. It needs to be gone through with absolutely every single club. And then once we have a concrete structure, you've got to find that balance and that structure where it's not going to fail, and that clubs aren't going to be significantly financially hampered by that to then have no other option but to then fold. I mean, it's part and parcel. Part the core and the structure needs to be solid, and the financial backing behind it as well.
Yep, exactly.
Joshy boy, care to weigh in?
Yeah, look, as I said, it's something that everyone's obviously talking about, obviously, in that regards. And look, I think you guys have pretty much summed it up in general. look, as I said, it's a topic we could be sitting here talking for 3 hours, 4 hours about in hindsight. So, I think James actually put in a question in the Facebook side there, Ben. I don't know if you can see that.
I did have it up. There we go.
Not. Got it. I think he was talking about stadiums. I think he was talking going backwards into the stadiums for. Into Pacific. Do you want to read that one out?
Yeah, speaking about playing in AFL, NRL stadiums, what are your thoughts about using specifically smaller football stadiums to increase atmosphere and development of a football club? For example, say something like a Sydney United. I'm guessing he's referring to that. Leichhardt Oval or something.
Definitely, we want to be playing football stadiums, even if it is in smaller venues. A perfect example was when we played against Sydney FC in Leichhardt there. That stadium was perfect for that occasion, or even for an A League game. Nice and close. I know they played rugby there, but it was nice and compact. The fans are right there. Sometimes you only need a 10,000-seater stadium for some matches, and you want to be playing in those football stadiums. So hopefully, I know the Western United one that they have planned is built specifically for football, a small stadium, not too big, and I think that's moving forward. That's what A League teams should be striving to have, is just little boutiques, football stadiums.
Yeah. Well, we were just watching a couple of days ago. Brentford, was it Brentford? I think have just opened their new stadium over in England, and that's going to be, and it's exactly the same size as what Western United's is going to be, and they're fighting for promotion to the Premier League. So, to see a stadium like that, big clubs playing like that at a small stadium, obviously there were no fans there, but I think the atmosphere at a stadium like that will be absolutely rocking.
I was about to say they played a game there yet?
Be the best stadium atmosphere wise in the league if we get a really good derby going there.
I was about to say, Brentford played a game there yet?
They've played a Carabao Cup game there.
Okay, no worries, because we played them first game of the season.
Yeah, they beat Wickham.
I
think it won on penalties.
4-2 on penalties.
Yeah, they beat Wickham, I think.
All right, so we're going to get smacked. All right, so we've got here. Do you enjoy playing in and against Newcastle Jets?
Yeah, I always enjoyed playing against them, of course. They've got a great stadium there in Newcastle. Great supporters as well. So it's always. But to be honest, they've always got good support. Every time we've played there in Newcastle, they've got it's quite a loud stadium as well. To be honest, even though it's a big stadium, they always have a lot of noise in there, and always a nice pitch. And always enjoy going to Newcastle to play. Yep, 100%.
Joshy, you came in with something there. Would you like to express that in a bit louder so everybody could hear?
What? When they show up?
Yeah, when we bring fans.
When the fans show up. I just, as I said, it's a raw topic of mine. As I said, I've been a fan of the Jets since day one, and I remember
we have some fickle ones.
Packing out stadiums, and obviously, packing out the stadium, the bays, and everything else. And now it's just sort of, we've had a few too many forever sevenths, and the fans just, they're struggling. We're struggling to come back, unfortunately. So hopefully we can turn it around. Obviously, under Carl. So with Carl, it'd be fantastic to see him bring back the fans. Obviously, with some good results like the back end of the season. So other than that, mate.
What's this? Saw that the Jets were offered to South Melbourne and Central Coast Mariners were offered to Sydney Olympic. What?
Yeah, right.
Oh, well, we'll just state the same thing that we state every week, Josh. We don't. Our podcast does not deal in rumour.
Absolutely.
We don't do rumour. We want facts.
Absolutely. It'll never happen.
Yep. And if it did come out as fact, then we'll tell you about it.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd be willing to put another Victorian-based club in anytime soon.
Yeah, no chance.
No, I think we're done for a little bit.
I think he's had enough. Three's plenty. Maybe give Canberra or the likes of Perth or something like that another side.
Yeah, we were discussing earlier about the viability of a Canberra side, being that Steve is from a Canberra boy himself.
It needs to happen. I'm surprised they still
100%.
haven't. Don't understand why. No offense to Western United or obviously your Western Uniteds and stuff like that, but Western Sydney Wanderers, sorry. Canberra had to come first. Surely they had to be put in before those two sides.
Yeah, my big thing is half the job's already done.
Exactly. They got a girls' side, they got the youth side. Friggin', the AIS was born and bred there, so I don't know. It just needs to happen. Obviously, I missed that if you guys were talking about it. Obviously, I'm sure Stephen would love to play for his boyhood town, obviously, in the A League. Surely it's something that you would love to do.
Yeah, look, I've been a big promoter of our Canberra team for a while now, and we touched on it a bit earlier. Everything's in place here. They got the stadium, they got the facilities. They got the W team, they got the youth team. A lot of great players have come out of Canberra. A lot of former Socceroo players, a lot of international players, and the players get to a certain age here, like I did, and players have to go elsewhere and look elsewhere to pursue their footballing dreams. And it's a shame because there's a lot of junior players that play football here in Canberra. And just in the end, there's no pathway for them, and unfortunately, some of them end up giving up because there's no real, not everyone gets that opportunity to go to another A League club from Canberra. It's not that simple. And the other thing is, maybe clubs don't spot these talents as well. So definitely, hopefully, in the next coming seasons, FFA do decide to bring Canberra in, because I know that they got the right backers at the moment. They've got the right investors on board, and they've got everything in place to get that license.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure you definitely be on the bandwagon, even if it doesn't happen before your career ends. Obviously, you'll be straight on the bandwagon to promoting it and getting it across the line. I'm sure, like a lot of other professional footballers, obviously, that are born and bred out of Canberra. Even obviously, I suppose the Wollongong sort of area as well. Obviously, Wilkshire, your Chipperfields and stuff like that. Obviously, down there, I'm sure it'd be busting their ass to make it happen.
100%. There's more than enough voices and now investors behind the bid to get it off the ground and over the line. I don't see why not. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it has come to that time of the evening where we must say good night. It has been an amazing podcast and a bit nerve-wracking to be steering this ship properly for the first time. But thank you to Josh for giving me the opportunity to do that. It's always good fun.
Don't thank me, mate. Thank the dog. I'll send you the bill.
No, don't send me the bill. I'll next time he needs a water bottle, a water bowl. Sorry, let me know and I'll get him one.
No, you've done well, mate. Everyone in the chat obviously thinks you've done a good job, mate. So happy days.
Well, as long as they're happy, then I am happy. But we are going to say good night to our guests for the night, and we just want to say a big thank you before we do. A big thank you to our sponsors, Gary Omar, optometrist in Jesmond, Eye Care Plus. Go over and see Lockie and Gabriel for all your eye care needs. We thank them very much for supporting the podcast.
And congratulations on 20 years.
Yes, 20 years in the business. They hit that milestone this week. Today. This time 20 years ago. Open the doors. And I'd also just like to refresh everybody as well of what we started off the podcast with as well, and that is today being Are You OK Day. Thursday the 10th of September. You don't forget, guys, a conversation could change a life. 100%. It's all well and good to ask your friend or family member or whoever it may be, are you okay? But you need to know if they do turn around and say, no, I'm not, you need to know how to respond to that question and where you can help them best. So please go out and check ruok.org.au for more information about that. Absolutely. And we will now say goodbye to our guests. So we'd like to thank you very, very much, Stephen Lustiger, for joining us on the Smashing Crossbar podcast.
Thanks, guys. Really appreciate having me on.
Thank you very much. And we'll make sure to catch up with you later on, hopefully before the season starts back off again, so we can have a chat again.
Hopefully over a coffee or something. Hopefully we can get out of the house.
Well, yeah, if they let us out.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
No, absolutely. Yeah, thanks for jumping on, mate. Muchly appreciated.
No problem at all.
And we'd also like to thank the lads from the All Out West podcast, Jay and Leb.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks for having us, fellas. Always glad to be on.
No, it's always you guys.
keep it a little more professional as well this time that we had a player on. We can't make asses of ourselves. So
I just stopped slamming the Western Suburbs. So
no, too easy. I've just got one thing. Obviously, next Monday we will be luckily enough joined by Daniel Garb. Obviously, those who don't know him, obviously you've probably been living under a rock like last Monday night with Adam Peacock on. Former Fox Sports pundit, knows his football, knows his stuff, loves his Liverpool, which is fucking fine by me.
and his outrageous shirts.
Pardon?
And his outrageous shirts.
So we'll have him on Monday night, 8 p.m. So I hope to see all you guys then, and obviously get your questions in for Garby, obviously on football in general, obviously, and a first result for the Reds back to back.
And we'd also like to thank our other compatriot, and that is Joshy Boy.
Thanks for having me, mate. Sorry it was so late, but thanks for steering the ship, and thanks to obviously everyone who jumped in tonight. Obviously the guys on the vocal side on Discord, and obviously all the guys in the chat who have put through obviously plenty of questions, I'm sure, to you guys.
Yep, thank you I'd like to say a very personal thank you to the lads and ladettes that are in chat on both the Facebook side and on the YouTube side. And before we do wrap things up for tonight, I'd just like to let everybody know that the podcast is now in an audio format. You can go and find it at anchor.fm. You can find it on Spotify, and you can find it on Apple Podcasts just by searching Crossbar Capers. It will find you and give you a link. If you're watching on YouTube, the links will be down below in the description. Yes, we'll talk about that soon, Lukey boy. I know. Yes, go subscribe to the podcast. If you are not watching on YouTube, go for a search on and have a look at either search the Smashing Crossbar Podcast or Crossbar Capers, and you will find it. You'll also find Josh playing some FIFA on there as well, and a bit of Call of Duty sometimes.
Absolutely. No worries. Let's get these guys off the air. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for Benno, as always. Be sure to go check out Benno at Corner Flag Games, obviously playing his FIFA, etc., etc. Stephen, enjoy pre-season, mate. We'll catch you real soon.
Thank you very much. And he's gone.
And just like that, he dropped out.
And he's dropped out. But lads, as we always say,
what do we say?
We hate Coast Scum.
We hate Coast Scum. Absolutely.
Oh, that's right.
Care to join us, boys?
All right. We hate Coast Scum.
Doesn't matter who you support. At the end of the day, no one supports the coast.
Anyway,
I thought we were talking about City, but it translates.
It works. It doesn't matter.
At least the Seagulls rock up to their games.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, we're going to call that done. We are absolutely going to call that done, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to see you in the next one. Thank you very much for joining us, guys. We will see you on Monday. Catch you then.
Thanks, fellas.